Alright, Brakathia Howell, Brakathia Shai, Brakathia Howell, Brakathia Shai, Brakathia Howell, Brakathia Howell, Bashim Shai, Bahashim Rachakodash, the blind to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone True Well. Salutations to the hopeful elect that day, Akim to Sadakim that do this thing in the utmost truth and sincerity. On the pre-Shema, this week's topic is going to be entitled the natural Gentiles versus the unnatural Gentiles. And I actually did this lesson yesterday. But accidentally deleted it. And I love the lesson that came out, but I guess I can't bring back time. What inspired this lesson? Brothers had a video of could be put together by apostolic ideology, whatever vocab denomination is, that area. And it was a video of Tom and Jerry, and over it they had the subtext, how Israelites react when they see Bible verses or what have you. And in the video they had Tom, originally it was a cookbook, but they repurposed it to put the text of certain scriptures dealing with like the Gentiles and everybody could be saved. That type of ideology that they lean towards. And then Tom would have this crazy reaction like, oh shit, and get frustrated. But the thing is that they don't understand is that you have the natural Gentiles, which are the 17 nations outside of the nation of Israel. Then you have the unnatural Gentiles, which are Israelites in a Gentile state of mind. And how do we know that? We go by the Spirit, right? This is 1 John 4:1. It says, "Beloved, believe not every spirit, but try the spirits, whether they are of the Most High, because many false prophets are gone out into the world." Pretty much it goes into reading people and reading spirits. There's certain characteristics that the nation of Israel just has, and that's how we able to decipher that this guy's a Jake. There's a video the brothers had also circulate years ago of Karab speaking on 34th Street, Captain Karab speaking on 34th Street, and it was an Israelite, but he looked like a straight up Ammonite, like a straight up Moabite or Ammonite. But they was like, nah man, you a Jake. And then he said his father was Puerto Rican, see, which is the tribe of Ephraim. And though he looked on the outward appearance of that of an Israelite, that of another nation, but he was an Israelite, his spirit. And then turns out he revealed his genealogy, and guess what? His father was a Jake. Now, let's deal with this understanding that when the scriptures talk about nations and many nations and nations being saved, well, let's read this. This is the book of Acts chapter 2 verse 1. It says, "When the day of the Pentecost was fully come, they were all with one accord in one place." And Pentecost, or the Feast of Weeks, is one of three high holy days where we go back to Jerusalem. All right. The Pentecost or Feast of Weeks is one. Then you have, of course, the Passover. And I believe the third one is the Feast of Tabernacles, or the Feast of Booths, that you go back to Jerusalem. I have to double check. But anyways, this is one of those high holy days where, look, we have to come back to Jerusalem, no matter where we are. And it's going to go into it. It says, verse 2, "And suddenly there came a sound from heaven as a rushing mighty wind, and it filled all the house where they were sitting. And there appeared unto them cloven tongues like as of fire, and it sat upon each of them." Verse 4, "And they were all filled with the Holy Spirit, and began to speak with other tongues as the Spirit gave them utterance." Now, does this other tongues mean hubba hubba hey and just learning random nonsense? No, it's going into other languages. In fact, as I read, the scriptures are going to break itself down, as it often does. Verse 5, it says, "And there were Jews, and they were dwelling at Jerusalem, Jews, devout men out of every nation under heaven." So when we see nation in the scriptures, it's talking about Jakes that are scattered, man. If I'm so-called Jamaican, if I were to go back to Jamaica now, the way I talk, they'll say I'm a foreigner. You're a foreigner, you're a foreigner, even though I was born in Jamaica. So it's the same sort of concept, like foreigners and Gentiles could be referring to Jakes that are in that Gentile state of mind, because what happened was you had Jews, Jakes that dwelt in Jerusalem, that looked at other Jakes like that. Like, you a Greek, You speak Greek, you don't know Hebrew, eating pork, you're a Greek. You see? And it's telling you that you had Jews coming from every nation. 6. Now when this was noise abroad, the multitude came together and were confounded, because that every man heard them speak in their own language. So right there, verse 6 breaks it down itself, that it's not speaking about some nonsense, bullshit that people be thinking in the so-called Christian church, but it's talking about other languages. So that's like brothers out of nowhere. I start speaking to brothers in German or Polish or Russian or Spanish or wherever we're scattered. That was the Spirit of the Lord. And you do have brothers speaking in other tongues now, in other languages now, getting the word out. So that was a heavy thing. It says, and they were all amazed and marveled, saying one to another, behold, are not all these which speak Galilean? Right? Don't they speak Hebrew? By the way, Galileans, when you go into when you look into it, like Galileans was like kind of like the hood. Like they didn't speak the most fluent Hebrew. So the equivalent today is like, imagine like a Jake from the South. Not only does he have an accent because he's from the South, but now he's in the hood. You know? So the accent become even more like, damn, like, you know, not that proper. That's why they say, you know, what good thing come out of Galilee? Remember they were saying that in the scriptures, what good thing come out of Galilee? Because again, Galilee was really seen like, you know, not the most pious place to be. That's what, again, that's when you look into what the scholars say, that whole notion at the time about Galilee, you know. Very, very similar to when, you know, we tell them that who high priests Arya and Abba Bivens are. They'd be like, you talking about them guys from Harlem? You see, they just kind of dust it off kind of thing, you know. Anyways, 8. And how hear we every man in our own tongue wherein we were born? Right. So they, you know, they went from speaking Hebrew to different tongues. 9. Here's the part now. Parthians and Medes and Elamites and dwellers of Mesopotamia and in Judea and in Cappadocia and Pontus and Asia. Remember that, you know, the Elamite Empire was huge, man. All right. In fact, the book of Esther takes place in the Elamite rule, or the Persian rule. And Esther was very high up in that society. Her uncle Mordecai, you know, found about the plot that Haman was trying to do against our people. And the Most High thwarted it. So even back then, again, and going back even further, we were in very high positions in different societies, and we spread our seeds. Hell, you know, going to Tobit, he was high up in the Assyrian Empire. So, of course, we're going to be amongst the Elamites and the Mesopotamians and Cappadocia and wherever you want to keep going, man. It says, verse 10, Phrygia and Palymphaea and in Egypt, and in parts of Libya, about Cyrene and strangers of Rome, Jews and proselytes. So Jews, Jakes that know that they're Jakes, and proselyte meaning converts, you know, just like us, right? We were in the world, now we calling ourselves Israelites. We weren't calling ourselves Israelites before, so we're proselytes, we're converts. You know, and it mentioned in Egypt. Look, in Alexandria, Egypt, they said at one point during the Ptolemaic rule, all right, 75% of Alexandria, Egypt was made up of Jews. You go into the 3rd book of Maccabees, it was a Jake, a Jew, a Jew, a Jake, a Negro that saved Ptolemy's life when he was about to get assassinated. You know, so we had high positions in these Edomite armies, just like we do today. You know, so that's us. We're scattered abroad, you know, but ultimately the Most High is dealing with the seed. And we can't just go based off physical outwards appearance, because guess what? Yahushua is not coming to deliver skin color. Yahushua is coming to deliver spirits, and that's what we're dealing with, the spirit. All right? And how do we know? Well, we ask your genealogy, but, you know, we go by your spirit. Because at the end of the day, when I say it's not skin color thing, because guess what? You have black Edomites. You have Edomites darker than me. See? First of all, the Elamites, the East Indians, they be darker than certain Jakes. They darker than the Latin tribes. So it ain't a skin color thing. It's about your nationality. That's why we say so-called or commonly called white or commonly called black. Because no one is truly white. Nobody's black. Okay? So-called white man is a different shade of red. He's red. His blood comes, shows through his translucent skin. Our people are different shades of brown. But it's that wordcraft, okay? The so-called white man use. Now let's deal with the whole multitude situation in Revelation, the 7th chapter, because they like to bring this out. Revelation 7 and 9. After this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude which no man could number, of all nations and kindreds and people and tongues, stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes and palms in their hands. Right, so vocab would say, see, all the nations and every creed, and because the first couple verses already went through the 12,000s of each tribe, but guess what? It's talking about the elect, man, of the nation of Israel, which the 12,000 is in the 144,000 is within the elect, but the elect is 1/3 of the nation of Israel. So out of the 12,000 prophets, guess what? You got helps, you got family members, you got women. That's what he was seeing. Because we already know from the book of Acts that the word nations could be talking about Jacob. But let's deal with that word multitude, right? So let's go to this. Let's go to the book of 2nd Ezra chapter 3 verse 16. Because they like to go to John 3 and 16. Well, this is 2nd Ezra 3 and 16. It reads, unto him thou gavest Isaac, and unto Isaac thou also gavest Jacob and Esau. As for Jacob, thou didst choose him to thee, and put by Esau. So put by is Old English for reject. And so Jacob became a great multitude. So Israel, Jake, became a great multitude. See? So where that great multitude you're reading about in Revelations, the 7th chapter, man? Not the fucking other nations. Look, Amos 3 and 1. Hear this word that the Lord has spoken against you, O children of Israel, against the whole family which I brought up from the land of Egypt, saying, verse 2, you only have I known. Now, known doesn't mean like I know of this person. Known means acknowledge. Okay? Because sometimes it could mean like I know this person, but known or know could also be acknowledged. Just like when it says that Pharaoh, the new Pharaoh that came up, didn't know Joseph. He knew of Joseph. He just didn't acknowledge him. Okay? So we're the only nation that the Most High really acknowledges or cares or give two shits about. The nation of Israel. You only have I known of all the families of the earth. Therefore I will punish you for all your iniquities. Well, that's why we're in slavery. That's why we're in the condition. Because look, man, it's just like you have a child and it's your kid. If they run in the street, you're going to get very angry at them. And rough them up a bit. Like, yo, what are you doing? You could have got hurt, you know? But if it's not your kid, it's like, yo, that's kind of, yo, look out, kid. But you don't really have that same sort of care. You know, you don't want nothing to happen and shit, but you like, yo, look out and shit. But it's not like it's your own kid. So it's that emphasis, that greater emotional attachment is not there. You see? But that was the Old Testament. That was way back when. And, well, guess what? Malachi 3 and 6 reads, for I am the Lord, Yahweh. I change not. Most High doesn't change, man. He sent his only begotten son, Matthew 1 and 21, okay, to redeem or save his people for their sins. Man, not the whole world, man. It says, therefore ye sons of Jacob are not consumed. So it's about Israel. It's always been about Israel. It'll always be about Israel. And that's something you just got to deal with. All right? So this lesson was much shorter than the other one, but it's all the Spirit. We're going to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahweh Shah, Ba'ashim Rachak Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone True Well. Salutations to the whole for the elect out there. You Akim to Zadakim that do this thing in the utmost truth and sincerity. Shalom.